Okay, so this right here is an update story on something I talked about, I believe, back in March. In case y'all are unaware of who this woman is, her name is Janet Mello, and they gave her the nickname the Gucci Goddess. Now, by me saying that now, if you've been subscribed to me since then, you probably know exactly who I'm talking about just because that's the nickname they gave her. But if y'all don't remember, this woman stole around $109 million from the U.S. Army so she could buy very luxurious things such as mansions and cars and trips and clothes, jewelry, you name it. Whatever she thought she could get her hands on, that's exactly what she purchased. And when I talked about it then, it was more of a breaking story. And I believe she was on trial at the time. And of course, she was indeed found guilty for what she did. Well, the update now is the sentencing. And she has now been sentenced to 15 years in prison. In my honest opinion, that is way too low of a time for her to do. I think she should have got way more. But something just tells me that she got some kind of a plea deal. So I'm going to go ahead now and read the article and see what it says, because I just have the strong feeling she got a plea deal. The Texas Gucci Goddess, con artist guilty of stealing nearly $109 million. First off, I'm trying to figure out how in the world did she pull that off? I think I asked that question when I did the initial video, and I don't know if I got a solid answer of how she did it, or maybe someone did. But it's just wild how she pulled that off. That's a lot of money. Do you know how many zeros that is? Do you know how long it takes to get to $1 million? And she did that 109 times. From the U.S. military families to splurge on luxury properties across 5 states and a fleet of cars, was slapped with a lengthy prison sentence for her brazen selfishness. Janet Mello, age 57, was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison on Tuesday for conning her way to an extravagant lifestyle. The swindler pleaded guilty to 5 counts of mail fraud and 5 counts of filing a false tax return in March. Mello's egocentric actions were unearthed in December 2023 when she worked as a civilian financial program manager at Fort Sam Houston. In her role, Mello was in charge of handling funding for youth programs on the San Antonio military base. In 2016, the fraudster created the fake vendor Child Health and Youth Lifelong Development to provide services to military members' families through the 4-H program, which focuses on positive youth development through providing opportunities for youth to engage in intentional learning experiences. Mello would receive grant checks for the organization but deposited the cash into her bank account instead of funneling the money into the youth programs. Prosecutors revealed that she repeated the process 49 times during a 6-year run and would often forge her supervisor's digital signature on the paperwork. Mello requested approximately $117 million in payments and received roughly $108,917,749 according to the DOJ. That is crazy. That is insane. This woman was working like a well-oiled machine until she wasn't anymore. They said over 6 years, she was able to accomplish that. And she did that under their nose and they didn't even know. Or maybe somebody knew and she was passing them some money along the way in order for them to keep their mouth shut. I don't know. During her con, the organization never provided a dime of financial aid to help the children of service members. She also didn't accurately report her income from 2017, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, excluding the millions she fraudulently received through the organization. Janet Mello betrayed the trust of the government agency she served and repeatedly lied in an effort to enrich herself, said U.S. Attorney Jamie Esparza for the Western District of Texas. Rather than $109 million in federal funds going to the care of military children throughout the world, she selfishly stole that money to buy extravagant houses, more than 80 vehicles, and over 1,500 pieces of jewelry. Mello was said to have purchased 31 different real estate properties in Colorado, Maryland, New Mexico, Texas, and Washington, with her home in Preston, Maryland, valued at $3.1 million on a sprawling 58-acre property consisting of 8 bedrooms, 12 bathrooms, and 55 garage spaces. I'm trying to figure out how in the world, what kind of home do you need where you have 55 garages? Yeah, like I said, she got addicted to this fast. And the thing is, because it became so easy for her over time, she couldn't stop. That's the thing when it comes to people with greed. That's why I say greed is probably one of the deadliest of all the deadly sins, because they can be attached to the other ones, but that greed one, that's that one that I think is the easiest one to fall into, in my honest opinion, especially when you don't have much. And even if you do have a lot, you're always going to want more, and you'll do just about anything to get it and maintain. The swindler's extravagant fleet of more than 80 vintage high-performance cars and motorcycles included 4 Ducatis, 16 Harley-Davidson motorcycles, 2 Aston Martins, a 1966 Ford Mustang, and a 1954 Chevrolet Corvette, some of which are valued at more than $150,000. Mello's inconsiderate spending was so out of hand that couriers delivering packages from high-end brands like Coach, Gucci, and Louis Vuitton dubbed her the Gucci Goddess. The con artist defense attorney Albert Flores said Mello is deeply guilt-ridden over her actions. Is she? Because based on all of these splurges, it doesn't sound like she's guilty enough. She's only sorry she got caught. If this woman didn't get caught, she would still be doing her things, feeling as guilt-free as possible. She realizes she committed a crime, she did wrong, and is very ashamed. Is she? I don't think she is. This woman stole or pocketed around $109+ million. Where's the guilt there? As far as her feeling guilty for what she did, not being guilty because she committed a crime. This woman was well aware of what she did. She was happy to do what she did. The thing that pisses her off is that she's caught and it cut off her supply, and now she doesn't have access to that money anymore. So now she's back to square one, and she's not going to be in a box for the next 15 years. Flores said his client had saved many of the items she had bought with the stolen money in hope they could be sold to reimburse the government. Notice they said some of the items, not all of them. It's many, not all. I don't think it'll be enough to reimburse the amount she stole. Like, it's not like this woman stole $109,000. This woman did $109+ million. Some people don't even see that amount of money in their lifetime, and she did, and she had to go this route in order to achieve that. And she would have kept on going if she didn't get caught. So I don't fall for whatever her attorney's putting out there. Of course, her attorney has to try to make her look kind of sympathetic, but she's not. No one feels bad for this woman at all. It goes on to say, I don't think the court gave us enough credit for that, but we can't complain. Of course, they weren't going to give you credit for that. They weren't going to listen to that. They didn't care to hear what you had to say about her. The woman's a fraudstress. She's a thief. She's a criminal. Mello's defense attorney said they have no plans to appeal the verdict. That's the smartest thing that the defense attorney said. Why would you appeal this? You will be wasting your time. There's no way you could try to appeal this and think that it will go through. It says Mello's penchant for extravagance is what brought her down. We identified that her reported income was well below the lavish lifestyle she lived. As we uncovered the details, the criminal scheme grew, the dollar amount grew, and the reach for her spending grew, said Lucy Tan, acting special agent in charge for the IRS Criminal Investigations Houston's field office. Financial crimes have victims, and this one took opportunities away from the children and families of our military men and women. That was the smartest thing that the defense attorney could say, was that they weren't going to appeal this. Because for what? You will be wasting your time trying to appeal this. She's getting exactly what she deserves, in my honest opinion. If it was me, though, I would give her more than 15 years. And I'm actually shocked, though, because it looks like I stand corrected, because I was expecting, reading through this article, that they were going to bring up, oh, she took a plea deal. But I guess 15 years was always going to be on the table, so 15 years most likely was the max. In my opinion, she should have got way more. Like $109 million is a lot of freaking money that she stole. And like I said before, she wasn't going to stop if they didn't catch her. She would have kept on going. They just caught her last year for a scheme she kicked off in 2016. It's amazing. The only thing that's amazing to me is that she got away with it this long, and that's how much she racked up. But you know what's going to be so funny? I bet you Lifetime somewhere down the line is going to do some kind of movie on her, or they're probably going to do some kind of a documentary on her to highlight her and then try to make her look like she's a sympathetic figure. No, she's not. And by the way, I believe this person that's in this picture with her, that I'm assuming that's her husband. I wonder if he was caught up in it as well. I mean, if this is her husband and he's been with her since then, and you see how your life goes from this to that, seemingly damn near overnight, then you can't tell me he didn't have any involvement in it either. As far as, just living, because I don't know if she did it by herself or she has some help. But from the looks of it, it looks like she did this all on her own, because they haven't mentioned anywhere, even back when I first started talking about this, was there any other involvement from any additional parties. They just said no, it was just her. So she pretty much did this on her own, which also amazes me that she did that on by herself. But either way, she's a criminal. She's off the street. She's in lockup. They put her in Fed prison, because I don't know how she would have thrived in Gen Pop, but since this was a Fed level crime, that makes sense. That's where they put her at. Either way, she's going to be in a box for the next 15. She will be pretty much in her 70s, early 70s by the time she gets out, but it is what it is. I hope it was worth it.